Hello and welcome to Hero Geek Percent, where I talk all things heroic. And today I'm very excited to introduce my guest, Dave, from Genuine Comics, creator of Perfect 10, and some really cool sounding upcoming superhero comics. How's it going, Dave?
He's doing fine, man.
Yeah, great.
You?
I'm good. I'm excited to do this. Get more content, and the purpose of this show is to bring in creators that are telling hero stories, right? So I'm always looking for indie creators that have the same passion that I do for telling, superhero stories. So I saw your work. I asked you some questions about Perfect 10, and you were like, well, that might not be for you. Then I checked out the stuff for the Power Trip anthology, and that's totally right up my alley, and I'm really excited about that.
You were worried that the Perfect 10 comic was a bit too gratuitous with the violence.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't really think so, but I can imagine for a certain audience that it may be too much. I always need to take those things into consideration.
No, I appreciate your candor and your honesty, because I asked you questions about the comic, and you were really honest and you were really like forthright about it, where like other creators are like, oh well, it's just not for you, whatever, go away. But you were really cool about it, and then you're like, well, you might not like Perfect 10, but you might like some of the other stuff that I'm working on, some of the other stuff that we're working on, like the Power Trip, and then what's the other one you're working on now also?
Yeah, I posted some stuff about Safeguard 7.
Safeguard 7.
Yeah, but that's really early. We're not yet there into production yet for that book. But I couldn't wait to share it. So
yeah. Oh, that's great stuff. So I'm looking forward to the Power Trip anthology, which is like 3 different superhero in an anthology comic. That's gonna. I think my favorite is American Bliss. I think she's pretty awesome. I like her a lot. But why don't you tell us about each of those stories within the Power Trip a little bit?
Okay, so you have the shorter stories for concepts that don't necessarily need their own title, their own series, but they're really cool, and I want to show people these characters so they recognize them when they show up in different books, And the first story is from a team that already popped up in several comics. They are called Auxilium, and they are meant to do cleanup missions. So every time there has been a big battle between superpowered beings, they cause destruction and chaos.
Yeah.
And then often the battle moves somewhere else.
Yeah.
People need to be helped and rescued, and all this destruction needs to be cleaned up. And that's when Auxilium comes in, because the actual superheroes who do and battle with the villains, they don't have time often to deal with all of that.
To clean up.
Yeah. Those are 5 characters. It's a team of 5. They all have very important roles within this dynamic. And maybe later some new members will be added. But for now, the core members are there.
That one reminds me, I think there was, in Marvel Comics, there was someone called like Damage Inc.
Yeah, Damage Control.
Damage Control, that's what it is, yeah.
Right.
Was that kind of an influence for this a little bit?
Not really, no, I heard about them, but I think when I first heard about Damage Control, they didn't have superpowered members. I just needed something like this for my universe. It just made sense. So even without the Marvel concept, I would have introduced this anyway. So yeah, that's a cool concept. Yeah.
Okay, so what were your influences for this one?
Well, the influences are very diverse.
I realized that sometimes people ask me, well, what are your influences? And I have like a whole list. Like I have like 20 different things that I can list,
Exactly. It's not just one thing. I get inspired by so many things.
Many things.
I just love superhero comics, and a lot of superhero teams where they have these costumes that are somehow uniform.
Uniform,
They're not,
okay.
they're not exactly the same like the Fantastic Four, but they have elements so you can recognize them. They belong together. So
like for a while, the X-Men had costumes like that. The Fantastic Four have costumes like that. Yeah. Great.
Sure, yeah.
Awesome. What's one of the other ones that you have?
The second story is Man Devil. This is a Swedish superhero. He's created by someone called Daniel Redelius. He's from Sweden also. And he wanted to bring this character over to the Genuine Universe. And I told him, that's great, so write me a little story. So he did that, and we did some edits, and I threw in my own character, Snow Fox. So they had some.
Is she like a sidekick to him? I think I saw.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah, something. It's more like the older Catwoman role.
Okay.
Man, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. Okay. Tell me about Man Devil a little bit. The character.
He has this gem that controls his emotions, and he has like devilish like powers, and he can control them through the gem. And the color of the gem can show what kind of mood this guy is in. It can affect his abilities, and he is a former rock star.
Okay.
So in Sweden, he is known from this band, and his band members also turned into creatures, and they're the villains now. So it's but that's maybe something we can tell later.
Yeah.
His own story. But for right now, for new people that come into Genuine Comics and want to introduce their own characters.
Yeah, that's really cool. And then you have American Bliss, right? Which is the one that I personally like the best. The one that appeals to me the most out of all three. And they're all three great concepts, and I'm going to enjoy all of them. But that's the one that this one's really cool. So tell me about that one.
Yeah, she gathered a lot of good feedback. She's basically a combination between Wonder Woman and Captain America. I just wanted this patriotic American superhero.
Yeah, especially now with what Marvel is doing with Captain America. I don't know if you read any of that trash that Marvel is doing with Captain America. So we need positive American superheroes. So that's awesome.
That's the thing, man. That kind of inspired me. I'm from this little country in Europe, you know. So we watch what's happening with American politics.
Yeah.
And the division, and it breaks my heart, man. That people trash their own country. And I see what they did with Captain America, so I thought, you know what? The Genuine Universe has to be a place with superheroes that inspire.
Yes, that's what I love to hear. I love to hear this stuff because this is exactly what I'm trying to do with Paragon Prime, with my stuff. So
Paragon, he looks fantastic.
Yeah, and and I just love this stuff. And so American Bliss, tell me more about her character.
Right, she is a legacy character.
The mantle was carried on to her. Okay.
Right. There is a longer backstory to that, and we are actually right now making that, so she will get her own book. But basically, her father, she inherited powers from her father, and he didn't want her to use them because he knew the danger. And eventually he dies, and she feels she needs to pick up where he left off. America needs this icon, and she struggles with it. It's not easy. He was very famous, very much loved, and so she has big shoes to fill, and she only has a portion of his powers.
Okay, so they haven't fully manifested yet.
No, not yet. No. So she faces some of the same villains, the villains that defeated her dad, and she faces the same villains, and she isn't even as strong. So that's really exciting. That's
great. I love the fact that she has this legacy to look up to, but she struggles. So it's like a journey for the character, which is not just like a Mary Sue, like a lot of modern comics like to do.
Right. And she has to deal with family. She has a brother, and the brother didn't inherit any powers, and he resents her for it.
I'm gonna guess that he's gonna become a villain. I don't know. I just kind of have that feeling. But
Well,
okay,
maybe we're going that route. Maybe we don't.
maybe we.
But,
Okay.
but yeah, that's pretty cool. That's she's just human, you know. She's just human, and she happens to have this legacy and these powers, and she tries to use them for the better.
I love that stuff. You gave me exactly what I wanted, and now, I mean, I was excited about this before, but now that talking to you about it and hearing what you have to say about it, I'm like foaming at the mouth for it to get here in the mail, so I can read it right now.
Yeah, the weird thing is, man, that a little while ago, someone posted a comparison between the latest iteration of Captain America and American Bliss, which one people would choose, and most people choose Bliss.
Wow.
And she's made by some dude from a little country in Europe. It's really strange.
That's pretty awesome, bro. I love that.
Yeah,
That's so great. So this is all part of the genuine universe. So like this Imperfect 10 and all of these, and then your upcoming comic book, it's all part of the same world, right?
Yeah.
Okay, great. And then you have another superhero team book that you're working on that's in the very, very early stages, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this is planned to start after Perfect 10 is finished. So we need to finish the Perfect 10 story, and then Safeguard 7 follows. It's basically a continuation from the Perfect 10 story. We got things planned for years, man. It's
Nice.
Safeguard 7 are basically paid superheroes. So you have this agency called Division M, and they monitor metanormal threats. They call them metanormals, these superpower beings, and they monitor them, and they train them, and they keep the world safe. So they need to hire all these superpowered beings, put them in costumes, and defeat the bad guys.
Okay.
And Safeguard 7 is one of these units. There are more.
Okay, so I gotcha. Now, are each of the Power Trip, are they going to get their own spin-off books, or only American Bliss right now?
Just American Bliss right now, but Power Trip is a good testing platform. If people respond well to some story, we can always decide, hey, let's give this one their own title. This happened with Bliss. So, and we're now working on the first short story for Power Trip issue 2.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Now, for the campaign, are you going to have like a separate Power Trip campaign for the second issue of that? Or are you going to like tie it in with the next thing for
I
Perfect
don't
10? Okay.
I didn't really know what the best strategy was. Either put Power Trip in with Perfect 10 as a secondary book, or give it their own campaign.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what's best, but I want people to pay the least amount of shipping costs as possible. So when I give each book their own campaign, and it can add up, That was basically the way I thought about it, and I wasn't sure if people would accept an anthology book for their own campaign.
Okay. I have to talk about one of my favorite villain concepts that I saw on your Twitter, which is Hive Mind. Oh, it's such an iconic idea for a villain. It's so classic Marvel or classic DC, the leader from Marvel Comics and the Hulk comics.
Right.
It's kind of a mix of a whole bunch of really, and then you kind of put your own spin. I saw that, like, ooh, this is a really cool villain idea. I love your ideas for characters in general are really unique, but they kind of have this tone and this spirit of what you would see from classic Marvel or from classic DC, And that's actually a really hard thing to capture, because you want to be unique, you want to be original, but you also want to, at least with me, I also want to capture the spirit and the essence of the classic superhero stuff that we all love. Now, was it the same for you? Did you feel the same way?
Well, I love the 90s That's the comic era. That's my favorite comic era.
Mm-hmm.
The 80s, cool, you know, but the 90s was when things got really crazy
Mm-hmm.
with over-the-top art and vibrant colors, and it's not for everyone. I know that.
Personally, I'm not a huge fan of the 90s
Yeah.
comics. I prefer stuff from the 80s and the 70s.
To me, it was more the art style from that era.
Yeah, no, the art was amazing. What Image was doing with things like, you know, Spawn and Cyberforce, you know,
Right.
Mark Silvestri, Cyberforce, you know, Jim Lee, and they were doing really cool stuff art-wise. It just, I felt their stories were a little,
Yeah, the stories were lacking. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what we're trying to do is take the best from the 90s
Mhm.
and then try to make it better. So good stories with a semblance of the styles, the art styles we got used to in the 90s, because basically it's a dying art style now in comics. You don't see that anymore. The corporate comics don't make those comics anymore. So I think people still like that. So I want to make that form.
Yeah. Well, recently I backed a comic that was very 90s inspired, very Spawn inspired. I kind of went out of my comfort zone with this comic. Like, I just usually... But have you heard of Death Shroud?
Yes.
Yeah. I actually liked it. I got it, I read it. I was like, this is actually pretty good. This is...
Oh, it
you
was
know,
finished? That's correct?
Yeah, it was finished. And I got it a while ago. And I liked it. And it's very 90s inspired, very inspired by Spawn or Venom.
It was exactly the art that I like, but I never backed it because what I got from the campaign was that the creator was raising funds to hire artists and then make the book, which to me is the wrong order. You have to make the book first and then ask people to invest. You know, that's my approach. But the book looked great.
The book was good. I got the first issue and I liked it. It was pretty good. The story has a cool idea. Like, he's supposed to be the son of the Grim Reaper, the son of Death.
Oh, right, cool.
And it was pretty good. It was pretty good. I'm looking forward for a second issue of that whenever he launches that. Now, with the American Bliss, when that spins off into its own book, are you going to have individual issues, or are you going to have like graphic novels, kind of like thicker?
It will be 5 issues, and it's one story. So we try to round off each issue somehow, but eventually it will be one big story of 5 issues of 25 pages each. We are now setting up the pre-launch campaign for issue 1.
Okay.
So we can raise funds and can continue with the series. That's always the problem, you know. It's I can do things out of my own pocket, but till a certain extent. Then we have to raise funds to make the next issue. The same happened with Perfect 10. I just couldn't make the second issue, and then luckily first issue went pretty well. The first campaign. So we were able to continue, and that's unfortunately the model we have to work with right now. In the future, maybe I hope that we can do things differently, that we can break away from the crowdfunding aspect.
Yeah. So yeah, like find a publisher or something like that.
Yeah, distributor. And we can land in stores, you know.
It's a grind. Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah,
I know. I had to pay a lot out of pocket right now with some of the art and stuff, and right now I have a good job, so I can afford a lot of stuff out of pocket. So, but once I go through the crowdfunding,
making one comic takes a lot of resources, lots of time and talent, and so much you need to invest. And every time we finish one book, I think to myself, I'm never going to do this again.
And then you do it again.
and then I can't help it, man.
Yeah, it's great. It's like this kind of weird thing where you have this need to create and to tell stories, and as hard as it is, it's in you, this thing. You want to tell stories and you want to put it out there and you want people to see your stuff.
Yeah.
So you can't deny it. You know, you have to do something about it.
Yeah, you get this little high when you see your own book in print and people get it.
I can't wait for that. I am so looking forward to that. Right now I'm doing the mini comic, but that's gonna lead, I hope I have some things up in the air right now where I have a couple of investors that might help me fund like a lot of what I want to do, like with big money. That would be cool. An ex-girlfriend of mine has some connections. That's what I'm working on right now.
But Paragon is your first book, your first project.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna cut my teeth on. Is that character, and I have so many plans. I'm like you. I have an entire universe of characters and of stories. My label's gonna be Escape Comics. So it's gonna be the Escape Verse.
Escape Comics. That's a good name.
Yeah, I think so too. I like it a lot.
Yeah, we need that, man. We need to escape.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, your stuff sounds amazing. I'm looking forward to the Power Trip comic. I'm gonna probably be doing a review of the Power Trip on Hero Geek Presents because I do comic book reviews also. So I'm probably gonna end up doing a video review of that.
We're also trying to make one series for teens. It's also superhero. Also takes place in this universe, but with teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
it's like Teen Titans or
something like that. Yeah, trying some new things and finding the right people and the right creative teams to make these things happen.
So you have like different teams of creators. I'm alone, so I would love to get to the point where you're at, where I have so many characters that I can't write them all myself. I have so many ideas for different spin-off books, and I would love to get to the point where I could like hire like different creators and different writers on different books. That would be amazing. You're kind of almost there, right?
Almost, yeah. It takes time, and you have to network.
Yeah.
And you have to figure out which people you can trust, you can build on.
Yeah.
And that takes time too, and many disappointments.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I know all about disappointments. I spent the better part of almost 3 years finding the right artist that I could that has the style that I'm looking for, that has a good work ethic, that is easy to work with, that communicates well. I kind of went through a nightmare trying to find the right artist. I went on DeviantArt, which is a mistake. Never go on DeviantArt to find an artist. Don't do it. It's the worst place to find an artist. Go to like Fiverr or even ArtStation. ArtStation is where I found Facundo, my artist.
The artist you have now is fantastic. It's clean, cartoony style. It fits the character so well.
Yeah, and I wanted the animated series look, because one of the biggest influences was Superman the Animated Series, which is one of my favorite shows of all time. That just influenced what I was going for so much that I kind of wanted the art to evoke that look too. Because originally I kind of wanted this to be an animated series.
Ooh, so that's a big leap, yeah.
Yeah, that was like a while ago. Like, oh well, it's probably not prudent for me to try to make this into a cartoon. So I'm gonna make it into a comic. So that's and I kind of wanted to have that animated series look, which is why I kind of wanted that style.
Is there a lot within indie comics that appeals to you specifically?
There seems to be a lot more. Yeah, I'm excited for several books. Your stuff. Cider Hype is doing stuff with the Colossals. I don't know if you know about that.
The Colossals.
The Colossals, which is a superhero team book. He's doing that. The Dragon Guard is one comic that I'm really looking forward to.
The artists of Dragon Guard did one pinup for us for a character named Ajax. That looked really cool.
Yeah.
Very buff and very 90s.
Yeah. And then there's also Galactic Rodents of Mayhem, which is being made by my good buddy Gilbert Del Trez. So that's kind of like, Ninja Turtles meets Star Wars. Very, very inspired by 90s cartoons and stuff. So, and there's like a whole bunch. I've backed like more than 50 books. So I'm really into like supporting indie creators and
That's good, man. But
an
you
indie
need to
comic.
take money for your own book.
Oh yeah, no, I'm doing that too. I'm kind of like trying to say, well, I gotta save money this week for some art and stuff, and you know. But I think it's important to support indie creators.
By the way, I don't think your Spider-Man shirt is official.
This is a Superman.
Oh, Superman! Oh,
Yeah.
Superman. Yeah, Superman. That kind of fits the themes you like.
Yeah, I love Superman, and I love Captain America too. And I have a couple of Captain America shirts. But what Marvel's done to him recently, like within the last week, they came out with a comic where he kind of like, oh, I give up on the American dream. The American dream is not real, and you know, it was so just.
That was the breaking point.
That was the breaking. And the thing is, there was a breaking point before that, but that was just the one that just like, nah, I can't in good conscience support current Marvel. I'm still gonna buy their older comics, pre-owned if I could, you know, support their older good stuff. But as far from this point on, I'm done with Marvel. I'm not watching any of their upcoming movies. I'm not watching any of their shows. I'm done.
Yeah, it's unbelievable to me, man. These creators, they had everything in their favor. They had characters that everyone loved, a huge paying fan base, and they ruined everything.
They ruined it.
Unbelievable.
It's sad and it's tragic that these great companies that had these great superhero stories are kind of just failing in almost every element, you know. What I decided, you know, I was gonna stop being angry about it. I was gonna stop complaining about it, and I was gonna do something about it. You know, I was like, well, one of my mottos is be the change that you want to see. So if you see something you don't like, if you have the ability, the talent, and the time, and the commitment to do something about it, then do something about it.
That's exactly it, man. It's just people just need to move on from corporate comics. They don't work for you no more, appeal to you no more. Then move on, focus on indie comics, create the new mainstream. We decide what's the future of the mainstream comics are.
Yeah, and they hate that. They hate that we're taking back that power, that we're taking back that control. The big corporate, you know, DC, Marvel, the mainstream media, mainstream entertainment, they can't stand that. They hate that we're doing this, you know. So they call us out, they make fun of us, they call us all kinds of names, you know. But the way I see it, that only fuels me even more. The more they hate on me, the more I want to do what I'm doing.
Well, it is what it is, man.
Yeah, it is what it is. But this was amazing. You have the right passion for telling hero stories, and I'm really, really excited for your stuff. I'm gonna check in the mail right now, see if it got here.
I hope so.
Yeah, I hope so too. I probably just like get it and read it and then go do what I gotta do after that. All right, well, this was amazing. You have a good rest of your day or evening or whatever time it is over there.
Evening, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, stay tuned for the next episode of Hero Geek Presents, where I'll be featuring another indie creator that has a passion for telling hero stories. Later.
Bye-bye.